the Logitech G602 wireless gaming mouse. As you can see here, it comes nicely packaged and it is one impressive looking piece of hardware. One quick cut gets you into the actual package itself, where you're going to have your mouse, a USB dongle, and a nice extension cord if you want to place that dongle somewhere else besides the backside of your computer. Hey, what's up guys? I'm known as Brothgar here on YouTube, and I run a YouTube gaming channel, so I do a whole lot of gaming stuff. That is why I recently bought this G602 wireless gaming mouse about 2 months ago with my own money, so it's not like anybody's paying me to give them a really good review, and they didn't send it to me in the first place. So this is literally my just honest opinion. So why was I actually looking to upgrade my mouse 2 months ago? Well, I was using this MX518, which is the old dented Logitech mouse with the wire on it, and I looked down and I'm like, this thing's growing skin for the 10th time. It is time to go. I've worn off the pads on the back, and I gotta admit, I kind of felt like the mouse was limiting me because I had 3 options that I really wanted to take care of when I was looking to actually get into a new mouse, which is what led me to this mouse in the first place. One, I wanted more buttons. I want to be able to record and like kind of pre-capture with the mouse, so that's why I got a mouse with more buttons on it, so that was a big plus. 2, I wanted to get wires off my desk because I have way too many wires as is. This is going to help me kind of get less wires on my desk type deal. So wireless, big plus there. And then I wanted a mouse that was more accurate. I had been watching some other videos of people who were kind of real big into FPS, and I've recently started playing this game. Well, I didn't say I recently started playing. I've been playing it for a while, Battlefield 4. And the reality of Battlefield 4 is that the gun mechanics have gotten so crazy. All these weapons have their different kickbacks. Like the first bullet will make your gun jump, and then the rest are kind of like all over the place. It takes a lot of control to kind of control some of these weapons, and I kind of feel like I hit a ceiling with my old mouse. And the true fact is, I actually tested it out with this new mouse, and I can say I truly did hit a ceiling with my mouse, because the first thing I noticed with this mouse is that I am way more accurate with this thing in performance mode. But let's hit the stats here real quick on the side of the box, the ones that actually matter. It is, let me jump to the other side. You have 250 to 2,500 DPI. This is kind of a resolution thing with over 20 Gs of acceleration ability and then 80 inches per second of scannability. To be honest, a lot of this stuff doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and I know that my arm and like my mouse pad is not 80 inches, so I've got nothing to worry about there. Now, when we jump down to the other things, the things that really make a lot of sense and are really kind of applicable to us, that is the hours of use you can actually get out of your mouse. You'll notice here that there are 2 modes. You'll notice in the green, this is endurance mode, which will give you 1,440 hours of use. Now, if we were to actually time this out, if you did it 8 hours a day, it would last about 6 months. Now, if we go into performance mode, which actually gets you upwards into that like really high hertz, really high reporting, which I'm going to be covering here in a second, this will actually last you a month of gaming 8 hours every single day using the mouse itself. Now, that is on a 2 AA batteries, which I gotta admit, I kind of solved that AA battery thing because it doesn't actually have like a rechargeable kit. You actually have to use batteries for it. So I got like this pack of batteries at the dollar store. So there we go. I have 8 batteries. If I just run performance mode, or it'll last me 4 months. However, if I run endurance mode, that's going to be like a couple of years. So I'm set on batteries, and I didn't really have much need if I could just get like really cheap batteries from the dollar store to actually spend a whole lot more money on a rechargeable mouse itself. Like I think the G700 series has rechargeable packages to it. So let's talk about mouse accuracy for a second. My old mouse here was actually limited in this regard. Same with the kind of generic mouses that you would just get off the shelf for just standard commercial use, surfing the web, etc, etc. That is kind of what this mouse is in endurance mode. Now, it will give you 125 reports per second, which is a new report every 8 milliseconds. So, I mean, it's pretty accurate, and when you think about 8 milliseconds, it's not that long. Now, if we're talking about a gunfight that lasts 100 milliseconds, it's just like a burst fire, and you have to control your weapon within that amount of time. You have 12.5 opportunities to make adjustments to that weapon in that amount of time. Now, it's kind of crazy when you all factor this in, but when you figure that you get 50 reports per second in high performance mode in that same amount of time, you realize that your mouse is definitely more accurate. Now for me, in a real world example, when I'm playing Battlefield 4 in my old mouse, or even when I leave it this new mouse on endurance mode, I can tell that I am just not as accurate as I am in high performance mode. Now one thing you do notice when you do switch between the two is that in endurance mode, your mouse will actually move a larger distance on the screen, whereas high performance mode, it actually feels like it condenses that amount of distance you move. However, I have actually kind of tested this by using a commercial mouse and different mouses and actually, bringing it down, so when you move your mouse, it actually, like, if I move my mouse an inch, it'll actually move across the screen irregardless of whatever resolution, high performance, low performance, blah 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 blah. The point is, at the end of the day, the reports per second made me far more accurate. I no longer feel like the mouse is a limiting factor to my aim. It is all on my shoulders now to actually perform in Battlefield 4 good enough to actually, like, I don't know, down the enemy, or it's my fault. That, or we're talking netgear. So I can definitely say that the mouse is very accurate in high performance mode, and definitely acceptable even in low performance mode. And there is even a mid-range if you get into the software and you want to, like, not be super high performance mode. I'm not really sure. I don't really see a reason to actually set it in between, like 200. I don't really see a point for that. However, it's there if you want it. So I feel like I've covered most of the important parts here, except for the buttons, which is a very good part about this mouse. The buttons you have on the side here are very easy to get to. You have 6 buttons, and to be honest, if I use my thumb here, which is kind of hard to see, you can see it fits in there. I mean, it's like holding a pistol handle. It is really actually quite good. Your first trigger on the low side will actually just be at the joint, and then mid thumb, and then you just extend out and reach to that last one with the tip of your thumb. So really all you have to do is rock your thumb and rock it up just a little bit, and you can quickly get to those first 3 buttons that are down there. So actually I have a middle one here that I use for reload, and has been very helpful in the game loadout. Now if we talk about the buttons on the top side, you actually have to kind of reposition your thumb and reach up here and grab it. Again, it's going to be joint, middle thumb, and then the tip of the thumb to activate all of those. So I kind of use recording on the middle thumb and the tip of the thumb if I want to kind of capture something that happened in the game and then bring it to you guys here on YouTube. So 6 buttons on the side, definitely programmable, and you can kind of do all kind of great stuff for them. Easy, very well positioned, and they kind of feel very like they're not going to break. I mean, you can tell when you're pressing it and when you're not pressing it. It's great. Now we also have the 2 on top. These can either be reprogrammed to whatever you want, or as they are default, you can increase or decrease DPI. You might be able to see it here, maybe not. There's some lights here on the side that'll actually tell you what DPI setting you are in, if you are so inclined to actually kind of look down rather than looking at the screen while you're changing it. For me, this is actually a very helpful thing, because sometimes, like when I recently here jumped into Planet Side 2, I jumped in a turret for a tank, and then suddenly my mouse was way too fast. I hit this button here, I slowed my mouse down, saved me from having to go into the options and then change all those settings while in the middle of the game. So for me, having that DPI thing on the top is great. I have it on another mouse that I use at work, which is another Logitech one that has kind of like, it's commercial grade, and you can actually like click this thing and then the wheel spins freely. It's great for 3D modeling, not so much for games, because you just like switch between all your weapons if you accidentally roll. One thing I felt though is that this wheel in the store, when I actually felt it, I felt like it was going to be too loose. However, in the actual real life example here, it is actually perfect. It's not very heavy at all, but it works really well, and it's super accurate. I mean, I don't feel like I'm ever going to misclick or scroll past whatever I'm trying to scroll to if I have to use the middle wheel to scroll to whatever I have to use in game. It works really well. The triggers for both left click and right click are very light, so you kind of have to get used to that a little bit, but I feel like it's better to be light than heavy, and they are rated for millions and millions of clicks, so your finger might wear off before the button wears out. One thing I did notice though is that having the triggers all the way out to the tip of your mouse here, if you accidentally bump into your keyboard, you'll accidentally click one of the buttons, which isn't really a big deal unless you're kind of using your mouse like here in front of your keyboard rather than next to it. but it can actually happen. Now let's say you're playing DayZ and you accidentally have your sniper rifle aimed at your buddy and you accidentally shoot him in the butt and he dies. That's kind of my one fear of having those buttons exposed to actually kind of accidentally be pressed on the front of the mouse. But for me, it actually hasn't ever been an issue, but I have noticed it. So I figured I'd let you guys know that you can accidentally click it if you bump something. So despite the obvious, the third and final thing is the grip. Now I actually felt like this mouse was a little bit weird when I first got it. The texture on the side actually kind of resembles skin. It was kind of like the nasty stuff I was trying to get away from on my old mouse. But after about a week or so of using it, I've gotten entirely used to it, and now it feels like it's really grippy, and it's not something that gets sweaty or anything like that. You have the nice ridged rubber on top, which is really nice on your palms, and then the nice slippery plastic for your two fingers. It feels really good, and then I feel like it fits my hand perfectly, and not to mention it just looks cool. I mean, ergonomically it just really works for my hand, which is very normal sized, if anything maybe a little bit small, but the grip actually works out. You just have to give it about a week or two, and then you really get used to it, and you love where everything is positioned. Now, if I get really nitpicky and I think of one thing that I do not like on this mouse, it's got to be this little switch here. It doesn't feel like it's quite up to the same quality that everything else on the mouse is. However, it still does really work well for its function because you can't accidentally change it mid-game. You have to be really intentional about changing that mode, but it just doesn't feel quite as solid as everything else. Another thing is that you kind of sometimes come out of a game and then you forget to switch it to endurance mode because you just have to remember it doesn't recognize that it's in a game. I'm not sure how it would because it doesn't have all the list of games available to it at all the times, etc. I'd have to talk to the computer. But so you gotta always switch it between the endurance mode or the performance mode depending on the game that you're going into. I really only ever use high performance mode in an FPS. When I'm using an MMO, there's really no reason for it, or RTS, all that kind of stuff. I just run endurance mode. It's plenty accurate for that. You just got to remember that you have to switch that toggle in order to get back to the endurance mode. That is really going to enable you to prolong the battery life. Now, if we talk about batteries, the batteries are on the bottom here. You just kind of open up the cage real quick, and you'll notice that I only have one battery in there right now. You can run this bad boy on just one battery, or you can put in a second battery, and then that rounds out the whole package there. It does make it a little bit heavier, so if you want to kind of customize the weight, you just pull out a battery. That's kind of why you saw I only had one battery in there in the first place, is because I like a lighter mouse now. I kind of actually liked it heavier at the very beginning as I was kind of getting used to it, but now I just want the mouse lighter so I can move it faster. All in all, you can kind of customize the weight a little bit by just pulling out a battery, but besides that, there's no other real customization to it. Alright, so if we switch gears real quick here, this is the Logitech gaming software. Now you can kind of see some sort of reports here. I just switched it to performance, and now I'll go back to endurance. Now it does have a couple different options here, onboard memory, or you can actually set it to the computer, which is what I normally do, because I'm not actually ever really going anywhere and I need to take whatever these settings are with me as I travel, but it does seem like that's an option. I've never actually tested it. However, we can jump over here to the buttons, and this is where you can change what kind of different buttons you have here. You see in Battlefield 3, it automatically recognized that game. I can actually go through this population thing and check out all these different games I have versus all the different games that are available to it. And now what this actually lets you do in the software wise is actually say, I don't know, maybe I want to use all chat, and then I can just drag this back to the middle button there. Now I have all chat available on that button. So for certain games that it's available to, you can actually, tie commands to the unique buttons wherever they are and make it like really easy to do. However, sometimes that isn't available and you have to create your own custom things. I haven't really ever used this feature where I kind of have a game set up and then I have these unique commands that I tie to the mouse. I honestly just kind of go into the game itself and then I'll customize it in game to the specific button that I'm going for. So I haven't really found much use in the gaming software, but I'm just kind of giving you an overview because there are some particular uses for it. But again, not all the games that I have are on here, especially, I would have thought Battlefield 4 would have been in this list, but it's not. Battlefield 3 is where it ends. So if we come on over here to the next tab, we're going to be seeing a little bit more about the pointer settings. You see here we have the different DPIs that you can set, and depending on where I'm at. So I just cranked it up, now I'm cranking it back down, and now 500 is the lowest. You also have acceleration, enhance, pointer precision, different available options to you. Separate DPI for X and Y. I don't really know why you would do that, but you know, it's an option for you if you really want. And then enable per profile pointer settings. Yeah, and then you can change it per game. So there's a lot of different customized abilities that you can do there. Now you can see here, now this is all happening under endurance mode. If I switch over to performance, you can now change the report rate, which is what I was talking about earlier, which is the 500 reports per second, which is very, very accurate, which is 2 milliseconds. And then you have 250, which is going to be 4 milliseconds, 125, which is 8 milliseconds reporting time. And all of these are actually going to use different amounts of power. However, they really don't give us hour rating for the 250. So that's the software there. All in all, I feel like the software is useful if you really want to dig into the mouse, and it's there if you want to grow into the mouse and use it per profile for whatever game. I personally didn't even have the software installed for the first 2 weeks that I was using the mouse, and it really didn't, inhibit my ability to use the mouse at all. I installed the software, haven't used it a whole lot, hasn't been very useful for me. Like I said, I usually set most of my settings just in game and then roll with that. However, it's good to know that it's there, and I feel like as a gamer, an enthusiast gamer, I finally have a mouse that fits my skill level and allows me more options that I can grow into, rather than my old MX 518 nasty thing that I feel like I gotta wash my hands every single time I go and play the game, and then it's just like, it's not accurate. I feel like I am just like, for 60 bucks, this feels like the best wireless gaming mouse I could ever get. And I'm just 100% satisfied with it. And for, my first real gaming mouse outside of a wire that's 4 years old, I am 100% satisfied with this. And I'm really glad to say that I am 100% satisfied with this. So if you are looking to actually upgrade to a gaming mouse or a wireless gaming mouse, and you're looking to spend right around 70, 80 bucks, definitely take a look at this. There are some competition if you want to spend a little bit more, but all in all, for like a budget-minded guy that's looking for the Logitech G602, you really can't go wrong with it. I'm 100% satisfied with it. So I hope that helps you out as you kind of watch this video, however long it is, because I'm sure it's quite long, so congratulations making it to the end. If you have any questions about the actual mouse itself, I'll do my best to answer it for you. I know in my last review here, when I reviewed my Razer Blackshark headset, I got a lot of questions that I didn't know the answer to, so maybe you're a knowledgeable person and there are some questions below that you can answer. Feel free to do that, but if you have any questions, make sure to just post them below, and I'll do my best to answer them to the best of my ability. So there you have it. That is my review of the Logitech G602. I hope you found it informative, and if you did, make sure to hit that like button on the way out. That's going to help me support my content here on YouTube, and I hope you are far more informed about the G602 as kind of a first-person gamer himself, kind of giving you my honest opinions on it, and I gotta admit, they're really quite good. Comment sections below, and if you haven't subscribed already, consider hitting that subscribe button. Maybe checking out my channel because I do a whole lot of fun gaming stuff. Maybe you're into that. If not, maybe just pass through. Anyhow, thanks for watching, guys. Peace. Stay awesome. Brothgar out. Doing a product review on these Razer Blackshark headphones of mine. I picked these up at Best Buy for the price of 120 bucks. Now, first off here, as you look at the packaging, you could tell it is definitely nice packaged to fit for its price range. I mean, they have the nice display there, the graphics match and whatnot.